Truman Langley, who is so anxious to advance in his career, prostitutes Patricia, his disapproving wife, to a prospective investor in exchange for a partnership at his business. Then, in spite of his sacrifice, Alex Weston is appointed to fill the role, and Truman is forced to accept a demotion and maybe lose his job entirely. Truman decides to take his own life out of humiliation. Scorned explores the effects of Truman's choice. Patricia Langley wakes her husband Truman up while she's holding a gun. She hands the gun over to him, telling him that there's an intruder in their home. Truman and Patricia head downstairs and discover that it's just a female party guest from the night before. She sniffs a substance left on the table and tells Truman that he threw a great party. After she leaves and Patricia begins cleaning up, Truman gets ready for work. Patricia is doing the dishes when Truman joins her, holding a cup of coffee. Patricia expresses her disapproval on the parties and tells Truman that she can't keep hosting parties every night. Truman assures her that tonight would be the last and they would be hosting Mason Wainwright, a potential investor that would be Truman's biggest client and that would secure his promotion at the office. He shows Patricia an expensive red sports car that he leased to secure the investment. Patricia reminds him that they can't afford it, but he brushes her comment off. She tells him that she can go back to work even if it is part-time, but Truman puts it down to mean that she doesn't believe in him. He kisses her, assures her that they would be fine, and tells her to wear something pretty for their night before driving off. Meanwhile, at the home of the Westons, Belle, the housekeeper, attends to Alex Weston and his wife Marina. Before they both head out to work, Belle reminds them that it is their son Robbie's birthday. Robbie, holding his basketball, sits on the stairs and overhears his father telling Marina he would pick up a gift for him at lunch, and Marina telling Belle to wish him a happy birthday for her and to pick up a cake for him as they both leave the house. Disappointed, Robbie is about to leave the house when Belle sings a birthday song, holding a birthday cake. She hands him a gift and Robbie kisses her on the cheek as he leaves for school. At the parking lot in school, Robbie pulls out a cigarette to smoke by his Jeep. He sees Cheryl and they head for class together. He invites her to join him for his birthday party today, but she tells him she has a boyfriend. She wishes him a happy birthday before heading into the school building alone. Upset, Robbie gets into his car and drives off, skipping school. Truman Langley arrives at the office and asks his secretary if Mason Wainwright had called, but she says no. He jokes that Mason is probably sleeping off all the fun they had last night and sees Alex Weston talking with his bosses, Mike Kramer and Mr. Green. Curious, he asks his secretary to help find out what is going on. She is not able to learn much, but she lets Truman know that something major is about to go down. Alex Weston gets back home and Belle tells him that the school called about Robbie skipping school. Alex scolds Robbie and tells him that the college prep school he would be applying to at the end of the school year would not approve. Robbie asks why he has to change schools, and after Alex lists out the advantages, he seizes Robbie's car keys and tells him that he can have it back after Robbie holds up his end of their bargain. Truman and Mason Wainwright arrive home late at night and apologize to Patricia, stating that they stopped for drinks at a bar and lost track of time. Mason hands Patricia flowers and, still visibly upset, Patricia heads to the kitchen to put them in a vase. Truman and Mason begin snorting a substance as Patricia is trying to serve dinner. Truman asks Patricia to join them, but she tries to tell them she's tired. After much pleading by Truman, she finally concedes. Truman pours Patricia and Mason drinks and heads out to answer the phone when it rings. Mason hands Patricia her glass and tells her husband is lucky as he would be making a lot of money from him. Mason begins caressing Patricia's thighs and she stops him before he can go any further. She gets up and heads to the kitchen after Mason offers a half-hearted apology. Truman joins Patricia in the kitchen, and after Patricia tells Truman all that happened, Truman tells her to cooperate and just do whatever Mason wants for the sake of the deal he's chasing. He joins Mason in the living room and Mason lets Truman know how impressed he is with him. Getting Truman's permission, Mason joins Patricia in the kitchen and hands her the glass of wine she left in the living room. After downing it and still being unwilling, Mason has his way with Patricia, with Truman right outside in the living room listening as she cries. Later that night, Patricia and Truman both cuddle in bed, none of them able to get any sleep. Truman arrives early to work the next day, excited about closing the deal with Mason, and is introduced to Alex Weston by his boss, Mike Kramer. After Alex leaves, Mike tells him that the deal and partnership would be going to Alex, and so Truman has to step down and move from his office in order to accommodate Alex. Truman begins protesting, but Mike only apologizes and walks away. Truman storms out of the office and almost hits Alex as he speeds off in his red car. Alex notices Truman's plates "Too Little Too Late" before heading back into the office. It's Sunday and Truman gets dressed to go to the office. Patricia tells him that he never works on Sundays, but he tells her that the partnership went to someone else and he walks out. Truman enters the building and ignores the janitor on the way to his office. The janitor hears a gunshot and goes to Truman's office to find him dead from apparent suicide. Patricia starts weeping after being told. Patricia goes to the office to speak with Mike Kramer. They hug and he offers her coffee as she sits, but she declines. Mike apologizes and tells Patricia when she asks that Truman's life insurance policy is null since his death was self-inflicted. Mike asks Patricia about Truman's personal policy, but Patricia says Truman borrowed against it. Mike offers to help Patricia go through Truman's assets as she begins crying. As he offers her his handkerchief, he goes to pour her some water. Patricia sees Mason and Alex leaving Alex's office together, looking chummy. Mike tells Patricia that some of Truman's things are still in Alex's office and tells her to go pick them up. Mike leaves Alex's office to give Patricia some privacy, and she begins to go through them. She sees a picture of Alex and his family and gets mad, wondering if Alex had to make the same sacrifices that she did to land the partnership. Then she looks through his computer, prints out his personal details, goes through his journal, address book, files, and itinerary, and leaves the office without taking Truman's things. On the ride from the office, she begins recollecting the night Truman begged her to have a hormone sandwich with Mason and becomes agitated. She then drives to Mason's house and shoots him dead. She then drives to spy on the Weston residence and follows behind Robbie, who is driven to school by some of his friends. The next day, Patricia visits Robbie's high school under the guise of seeking information on tutors for her daughter. While the school receptionist leaves her station to go through a file cabinet for the information, Patricia steals some school papers from the table. She gets the file from the receptionist, thanks her, and leaves. Later that night, Patricia begins typing on the school paper, addressing a letter to the Westons that Alex would need tutors to boost his grade point so as to be able to get admission to the college prep academy. She then lists a couple of tutors' names and phone numbers for them to call. While doing this, Patricia promises to destroy the Westons. The next day, Alex receives the letter and tells Marina to call the numbers and find their son a suitable tutor. After taking her usual pills, Marina calls Patricia, who is going by Amanda Chesfield, and invites her to be interviewed for the tutor position. Patricia arrives and joins the rest of the family for the interview. After Alex asks when she can start, Patricia tells him that their building is undergoing renovations and she will need to find a place to live. Robbie tells his parents to let Patricia stay in the guest house, and they agree. They tell Belle to set it up as Patricia thanks them for their hospitality. Patricia goes to pick up Robbie from school in Truman's red car, dressed seductively, much to the envy of Robbie's friends. Patricia hands him the keys and lets Robbie drive them home. During the study session at the guest house, Robbie and Patricia keep staring at each other and are interrupted by Belle, who brings lunch for Robbie. Patricia asks Belle to leave and she does. Marina arrives home from shopping and Patricia helps her with her bags. They both go to Marina's room and Patricia helps her run a bath. Marina thanks Patricia for her help with Robbie and expresses regret over not spending enough time with him. She tells Patricia she will be attending a fundraiser with Alex, and Patricia promises to help her get dressed. While Marina is in the bathtub, the phone rings and Patricia leaves the bathroom to answer. Mike Kramer is on the phone for Alex, but when Marina asks who is on the phone, Patricia tells her that it is a woman that wanted to talk to Alex but wouldn't leave a message, and that she refused to give her name. Patricia then slips 2 pills of tranquilizers in Marina's wine and gives her to drink. Patricia keeps serving Marina wine as she helps her get ready. After Alex is done getting dressed, he pays Belle and tells her he would see her after the weekend. Marina descends the stairs shortly after and she looks stunning. They head out of the house together. Later that night, Robbie is playing with his basketball outside the house and wanders to the guest house. He sees Patricia and is spying on her from the window. Patricia sees him looking and acting like no one's watching. Belle catches Robbie looking at Patricia and reprimands him, assuring him that if she catches him again, she'll tell his father. After Belle leaves for the weekend, Patricia goes to the main house and startles Robbie in his bedroom. Patricia asks Robbie how it feels to be spied on by someone after she spanks him with the ruler for looking at her. She tells him that if he does bad things, he would have to be punished. She tells him that the next time he wants to see something, he should knock on her door and ask her as she leaves his room. Robbie knocks on Patricia's door shortly after, and they have a hormone sandwich. The next morning, Alex asks Marina how much she had to drink the night before as she was very drunk. Marina tells him not to let her know if she made a fool of herself at the fundraiser, and he leaves her to sit by the pool. While he is reading a newspaper, Patricia joins him by the pool. Alex asks her about the guest house, and she tells him she is appreciative. He asks if Robbie's grades are picking up, and she tells him that he is doing great. Robbie and Marina watch on from their respective windows as Patricia and Alex challenge each other to a game of pool table at the house. When Belle gets back to the house, she helps Patricia to install some blinds on her windows and tells her that she would have some privacy now. With Marina being suspicious of Alex, she tells Belle to change all the bedsheets in her bedroom, despite Belle putting fresh ones recently. After Belle tries to protest, Marina yells at her and leaves. The phone rings just before Belle takes the sheets to the washer in the basement. Patricia removes the light bulb and installs a tripwire, causing Belle to fall down the stairs to her death. Patricia installs the light bulb and removes the tripwire before returning to the house to have a hormone sandwich with Robbie in his bedroom. They're interrupted by Marina's scream after she finds Belle laying lifeless. Marina begins to blame herself for Belle's death as Robbie and Patricia try to comfort her. Alex arrives as the ambulance takes Belle's body and takes a crying Marina to the bedroom. Later that night, Alex begins playing pool and Patricia joins him. After they discuss how ridiculous Marina is acting, Patricia and Alex discuss her apparent excessive use of tranquilizers and how it causes moodiness, depression, loss of appetite, and lack of sex drive. Patricia begins flirting with Alex, and even though he is affected by it, he moves away, stating that Belle was with them for 12 years, so she was like family. He tells Patricia that he is not in the best state as his wife is passed out on drugs upstairs and that his son hates him. He tells Patricia that he is afraid of being close to her as he is trying to justify being with her. Patricia bends over the pool table and has an injection game with Alex as Robbie watches them. Patricia sees Robbie looking but doesn't alert Alex. Afterwards, Alex goes to the poolside to take a drink and Robbie looks on, smoking. He tells his father that moving to the prep school might not be so bad after all, takes his car keys, and drives off. The next morning, Patricia makes Alex coffee but he declines, telling her that Marina isn't feeling well. Patricia tells him that she would take care of Marina and he heads out to work. Patricia then calls the pharmacy, impersonating Marina and asking for a prescription. Patricia brings Marina tea shortly after and comforts her as she goes on about feeling terrible for Belle for not paying attention to her house, her husband, her son, or herself. She tells Patricia that she is glad that she's there, and Patricia urges Marina to lay down. Drowsy from the tea, Patricia begins touching her as Marina moans. Marina wakes up shortly after Patricia has gone and hears Robbie outside. She asks him why he isn't in school, and he gets upset that she is not aware of anything that goes on in the house. She slaps him after he calls her a pill popper and begs him to forgive her as he slams his door. Patricia comes to Robbie's bedroom and tells him to apologize to his mother. When he refuses, she tells him she knows he is upset about what transpired with his father. She then goes on to insinuate that Alex hurt her. Seeing how upset Robbie is, she tells him not to react as he'll be gone in a few days. Alex gets home and he and Marina get into it about the pills she takes as Robbie listens from his room. Alex carries Marina to the shower, saying Patricia was right the whole time about Marina as Marina cries. The next morning, Alex flushes Marina's pills down the sink. Robbie and Alex almost get into a fight about Robbie's attitude towards him before they're interrupted by Patricia. Patricia then goes to Marina to give her a cup of tea and tells her that she would be leaving soon as her apartment would soon be ready. Marina tells her she's been a really good friend, and after Patricia leaves, Marina realizes that the tea she's been getting from Patricia is what has been causing her drowsiness. Robbie goes to the guest house later that night and tells Patricia that he is packed and would be leaving the house tomorrow afternoon. As a way of saying goodbye, they have an injection game. The next morning, Marina asks if Alex is going to say goodbye to Robbie, but he tells her that they already have. As he leaves, he notices Patricia's car for the first time and is curious about the plates. After Robbie leaves, Marina watches as Patricia gets in her car and drives off. Later that night, it's raining heavily, and Patricia torments Marina by calling constantly and scaring her into thinking there's an intruder in the house. In a bid to defend herself, Marina mistakenly stabs Alex's hand. After telling him about her experience prior to his return, she tells him that Patricia is trying to kill her, but he dismisses her by saying she's still on pills. Marina angrily shouts that she isn't and walks away, with Patricia in the background looking on. Marina wakes up the next day to see her pet birds dead and cries as she takes a shower. After she dries off, she sees Patricia, and after refusing to take tea from her, Patricia slaps Marina. They have a scuffle, but Patricia ultimately ties her to the bed. Patricia then puts on a pair of gloves, forces Marina to take a tranquilizer, and tells her that she is going to kill her but make it look like a suicide. At work, Alex is distracted, and after his receptionist makes a comment, he remembers the plates. He goes into his office, and after rummaging through the box containing Truman's things, he sees a picture of Patricia beside Truman. Mike Kramer walks in shortly after, and after he tells Alex that she is Truman's widow, he tells the receptionist to call the authorities that his wife is in danger, and rushes out of the building to the house. Alex walks in just after Patricia makes a cut on Marina's arm, and he tells Patricia that she should drop the knife, that he loves his wife. Patricia asks him why he had an injection game with her if he is truly in love with his wife, and tells him that both his wife and son are better lovers than he is. Angry, Alex slaps Patricia hard, and she falls through the window to the ground. The authorities arrive, and Patricia is nowhere to be found. The authorities assure the Westons that she won't be coming around them, as she is aware that they are looking for her. After the authorities ask for their son, Marina tells Alex that she doesn't want Robbie knowing anything about what happened. Robbie calls the house from school later that night, and after talking with Marina, he refuses to talk to Alex. After the call ends, Robbie tells Patricia that his parents send their love as they kiss. Well, folks, there you have it. If you sticked around to the end, just know you are the real one. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.